As always, I'm going to do the fast version first, then slow it down and teach you guys everything you just saw. So, skateboarding's been a huge part of my life. I wanted to see if I can take Jack here and turn him into a pro skater. You ready, Jack? Jump into Blender, model a skateboard. Let's make it a nice board, not a cheesy board. I want it to complement the DAZ character and look realistic. Everything about this project is supposed to be realistic, especially the body movements, poses, and small nuances of the animation. Body mechanics of skateboarding is really difficult. Unless you yourself are a skater, it's really hard to understand, comprehend, never mind animate. So I'm stepping up to the plate, seeing if I can't do this right for you guys. Okay, board's done. Even redid the deck so it's nicer. Boom. Next, I need stuff for my skater to do. So I'm going to build a half pipe. Many half pipes. Now I'm going to build a whole skate park. Many pipes, lots of pools, dips, even a little hidden compartment underneath. Every world should have a little hidden compartment or two. Don't mind the cheesy texture painting, just wanted to get it done. Boom. Next, we gotta work on Jack. Jack, you're killing me, bro. You look way too much like a mannequin. We just need a skater pose. Hey, nice. So now that I've modeled everything, can I actually take some of these poses and turn them into full-blown animations, then turn them into ANI blocks for you guys to string together? Done. Kickflip. Many flip. Wait a minute. If I can flip the board, then I can flip him. And instead of creating ANI blocks separately for every single move and every single trick, you can spin the board in any direction for any amount of time, however many times you want, and you can spin the character in any direction for any amount of time for how many... blah. You get it. Okay, now that I have like 20 random ANI blocks, can I create some transitionary ones like stances, pushes, and string them all together into a line of skater moves? Woo! Okay, we're getting somewhere. This is looking pretty good. Imagine doing all this on a timeline. Jack, you still with me, bro? Awesome. Big improvement, man. I'm proud of you. Okay, I didn't think I'd get this far, but Halfpipe. I have my movements down, I have my tricks down, I have separate ANI blocks controlling him and the board. Now I need a third one for a main control. So after some trial and error, that box above his head is the controller. Basically the joystick, if you will. As the joystick moves on its own ANI blocks, the skater and the skateboard within it are parented to it, and they're moving separately, doing their own moves. Then I thought, wait a minute, my previous tutorial about parallaxing in DAZ and Blender would look wicked with this as he goes back and forth and seeing the treetops come in and out of view. Let's try that. And would you look at that? Jack has actually turned pro, baby. Now, as funny as this was, I actually almost went pro as a kid skating, or took it as a career or whatnot, and snowboarding, and I never got to, so I still do it to stay in shape, and this was a really fun exercise. I think I got pretty close and achieved pretty realistic movements with him and with the board and with the half pipes and stuff. So yeah, skater DAZ, dudes. Okay, let's slow it down, but not too much. I want your learning to be efficient. When you first download the zip file, you're going to get a few folders. One's called Norb's ANI blocks. You're going to put Norb's ANI blocks into my DAZ3D ANI blocks, and that's it. Norb's ANI blocks. If you've already got Norb's ANI block folder, just put the subfolder inside it. Make sure you have 3 file types when you're in there, the PNGs, the DS, and the GFA files. Once you do that, you come into DAZ, open up Animate2, and down here, you will now see Norb's ANI blocks under the ANI blocks section. Alternatively, you can go to your content library, open up my DAZ3D library, ANI blocks, Norb's ANI blocks, go to Skater, and now you'll see all the thumbnails that we've conveniently created for you guys for all the different stuff you can do with the board, and him, and the half pipe, etc. So now we're ready to animate. When you guys download all the files, you'll have DAZ templates and the ANI blocks. This is the skater setup. Open this up. I want you to wrap your heads around the Animate2 layers. The skater has 3 subtracks and the skateboard has 3 subtracks. On the main track is the actual movements, and on the subtracks are the spins. Even though they're both being controlled by separate ANI blocks, it looks like one big masterpiece because they're all lined up nicely. Don't worry, we're going to start one from scratch too, but I specifically wanted you guys to watch me from here because we're now going to combine them into our joystick. And even though when you open this up, the joystick will probably already be in there, I encourage you to make one of these for yourselves anyway so you fully grasp the concept. Okay, so we're going to create a primitive, a cube, and it's going to be about 0.2 meters. This part's important because we can't change the size afterwards. Grab the cube, edit, object, rigging, and convert the prop to a figure. I'm going to name it joystick, and then move it right above his head. Now this is going to be our pivot point, and I converted it to a figure so that we can control it with our ANI blocks or on the timeline. So now I'm just going to take this and call it joystick, and inside it, we'll rename that to controller shell. That'll be our shell. And now down here you'll notice it's also generated a new ANIBLOCK timeline lane, so we'll double click that and rename this to also be joystick, so that everything is nice, seamless, and we understand what's what. Okay, now the last thing we have to do is in our controller shell, dump in our Genesis 8 male and our skateboard. Boom. Now, when I grab the joystick, we'll just close that up. We don't really need access to them anymore for now. When I grab the joystick and I curve him, it gets both of them and does whatever I want. Now, if I want to move him this way, as he's doing his tricks and go through the skate park or whatnot, it's easily doable, and I can do it right through here, or I can go to timeline, do my animation, and then convert that to an ANI block, or just leave it as is. Alright, so trying to think my way through this and thinking ahead, I'm going to start him back here. He's going to go up this ramp, do a little trick, go back down the ramp, go up the quarter pipe, come back down the quarter pipe, and end up doing his manuals and stuff somewhere over here and end up over here. Okay, let's go. Alright, this part was basically pretty easy. I'm just laying down keyframes and trying to line up every time he does a flip or a move or a jump with the lips of the ramps, and then taking him to my next point. And then here's our final look at what it looks like. This isn't rendered out, just in DAZ preview mode. Goes off his rail and ends off with his ridiculous gravity-defying move. That would be impossible. But it's 3D, anything's possible. Okay, next we're going to open up Skater Setup Starter. It's the same thing, just blanked out. I know, we're kind of working backwards and it's okay. Diving in the deep end first sometimes works better. So we're going to get creative and build together from scratch here. Side note, a lot of these turns, spins, partial turns, and moves were done before I figured out this joystick mechanism, so most of the stuff is actually unnecessary and not needed. However, it is done and may come in handy for other purposes I haven't discovered yet, or even your other projects where you do need turns, spins, and moves. So notice our character and our skateboard are kind of misaligned, and that's okay. This is how we want them to be for our starting positions, and you'll understand why in a moment. The ANI blocks with the word board in it are meant for the actual board, so you'll click on the board layer first, roll over or apply these, and it'll work as it's supposed to. Things with the word skater in it are meant for the actual skater, so you'll click on him first, then roll over the skater ones, and you'll see what they're supposed to do as well. Things without the word board or skater can be applied to both, or you can use them for the actual joystick mechanism, like the half-pipe turns, etc. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is click on the board, and in your ANI blocks, board still. This just keeps the board still with very tiny subtle movements that are barely noticeable, but it keeps it in one direction. Then we're going to grab our skater and scroll down to skater cruise, which just has him cruising. There's skater cruise and there's skater cruise low, which just makes him crouch low. We'll grab the normal one and drag it to the skater timeline. Now with board still, we can just click on it once. That'll get us into the editor, and we can drag this out to loop it. So we want the first thing to go to about 5 seconds. We're going to do the same thing with our skater cruise. 5 seconds. Let's zoom in here because this can be a little bit fickle and it's not always too accurate. So right before that 5 second line. Great. Now we're going to go back to the board. I just want you guys to get used to going back and forth and understanding all this really easily. So back to the board and board ollie. And you'll notice this makes the board simply ollie. And that's all we need the board to do throughout this whole process. The rest is handled by the spins. Now we drag this and bring it down to the skateboard lane and scroll down to skater ollie. Okay, so we have the board ollie and the skater ollie, and we line them up to be right on the 5 together. So now we go from standing still or cruising to ollie. Make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and this frame right here is actually the money frame, which means if his toe isn't going through the board on either direction, it's set up perfectly. This will mean the rest of the ollie and the rest of the jumps and the landing will be set up without having to pin anything or restrict anything or constrain anything. Beautiful. Now after the ollie, we can go back to skater cruise and say cruise low. So now he's going to go from cruising to ollieing back to cruising low. Okay, we can also single click. Then once we're here, right click, copy. Go later on in our timeline. He doesn't need to cruise low for that long. We'll say 4 seconds-ish, 3.5 seconds-ish, and paste. Okay, same thing here. Board still. We want our board still with the slight movements to be in there. And it'll also go here. And then once again, single click, right click, copy, right click, paste. And now we should have cruise to ollie to cruise low to ollie. Nice. And that's 15 seconds already. We're going to stop it there. And we're going to keep it moving with our spins now. One thing we haven't done yet is touch the joystick leer, and that's okay. We're going to do that last. So now we click on our skater and click on this plus symbol right here. That'll add a subtrack. I'm going to go down to the skateboard and also add a subtrack. So now we just know we have 2 subtracks, 1 on each. Okay, we're going to grab one of our spins and drag it to our subtrack. Just make sure it's working. It is. We see the board spinning. So now I'm going to take this and try to line it up just to where he's about to ollie or right afterwards, and it makes the board start to spin. So right about there. Okay, so we go to ollie and it makes the board spin 360 and he lands back on it. Now I'm going to take another spin and I'm going to add it to the skater layer. So now at the same time as the board's spinning, he's going to be spinning as well, even though I don't really like that direction because it's unnatural. And he goes through the board right there. So let's get rid of that. Right click, delete, or single click, then right click, delete. Grab that spin. That's better. Perfect. So now the board's spinning and he's spinning. Okay, I'm pausing the video here and putting in a couple quick points afterwards because I think I jumped ahead a little too far. If after you've put your board and skater together, they're still misaligned after you've put in your ANI blocks and you've messed with these and you've tried overriding, if it still doesn't work, basically just grab your actual Genesis 8 male by that actual root and align him up, down, left, and right to its final positioning point, and you'll be good to go. Secondly, when we get to our tricks or any actual ANI blocks, this will apply to any ANI blocks, notice he's flipping forward, the board's flipping backward. All of the spins are only available in one direction because you can reverse the spin and make him go the other direction using the interface. So we'll take the spin of the Genesis 8 male, single click to get into editor mode, and here the 1 2 3 to 3 2 1 means we're reversing it. So now he'll do a back flip instead of a forward flip, or basically reversing the spin. Or we'll put it that back, he's flipping forward again. Instead of reversing, we can invert the actual frames, which will also make it basically reverse in this case. And one cool thing I'm going to show you here is the board's doing a kick flip, he's doing a back flip, and when we get to about halfway, we're going to click the very first ANI block, and up here we'll split it, go to the one below it, split it, below it, split it, basically all of them. Split them, hold down shift, select all these guys, and let's move this over a little bit. Now we've basically created some stop animation, or stop freeze frame animation if you will, and we can add another subtrack on either or on both. Let's actually give this more than 1 second. And you can take this concept and apply it to fight scenes or other motions that have sports or fast motions which you want to then slow down. And now while we're stopped, the camera does a little spin and then the motion picks up again. Then it stops, the camera does another little spin, the motion picks up again. So we go up. Here, let's click away and let's hide our joystick. We ollie, we freeze, the camera goes around. Then we have some more animation. Then it freezes again. Then the camera spins again. Then we have other things animating. Then it freezes again. The camera does one more thing. And we drop. Let's take a look at this in its full speed. Boom, spin, boom, spin, boom, drop. Okay, and as a last point, I'm going to grab a frame here that's wrong. We'll look at his shoe here. So if we want to fix any frames within the ANIBLOCKS, single click, wait a moment, double click, now we're in here. We can see the actual keyframes once we zoom in. Click on the problematic keyframe. We're going to change our base levels to something that has a 0 on it. And then once we're on a 0 level, we can grab our mistake, whatever it is in the scene. I'm going to be doing a pretty fast job here fixing it, but that's okay. You guys can take your time. I just want to explain the process real quick. Once we have our shoe not going through the board and we see our keyframe has been laid, we are good to go. And then also very important, most DAZ ANIBLOCKS I find are slow. They don't look right until you speed them up. To speed them up, single click and you see a percentage right here. Let's take this to 400%, which is the max, and then loop it out a bunch of times. So now we made the board spin ridiculous. We'll do the same thing to him. 400%. Or here even better, what we'll do is we'll loop it twice, then copy and paste. And one last thing I'll show you, which is pretty neat, is once this ends and this starts, we can go to the beginning of it and on angle change this to a new angle. So if we're walking, let's say we want to change 45 degrees or 90 degrees in our walking, turning left, turning right, right there we simply take this to 90 and you notice he changes direction. So now he's going from this direction to this direction. Let's actually do one more. Now he's going from this direction to a full 180. And we're gonna have to bring him back to normal, I guess, somewhere. So we'll just copy this again, give it one last spin here, and make it 90. Okay, once you guys get familiar with ANIBLOCKS, you'll be using these more and more. When you go through the discovery phase, they might seem a bit intimidating or wonky, and this whole interface, I won't lie, is a little wonky, but you start to learn to love to hate it, and before you know it, you're doing things you didn't think you'd be able to do. Let's take one last look. Hey, hey, hey. Very unnatural and gross, but you get the point. Oh, jeez. Talk about couples goals, eh? Look at these two. Okay, so I just wanted to see if it would work on the GM8 female, and sure enough, there's no reason why it wouldn't. It sure does. So for the rest of this video, just know that you can apply this to the female as well, and I've included this in the updated skater setup file, so when you open this now, you'll see both. Just delete the one you don't need, and off you go. Okay, great. Okay, back to the main part of the tutorial. Now to get really creative, what we can do is add another subtrack on either or both. So we'll add another subtrack here, add another subtrack here, and now while spin Y 360 is spinning, we can grab another spin in another direction and put it right below it. So now it'll make the board spin in both directions at the same time. And obviously the same can be applied to him. I'm going to spare doing that, but what I will do is just add a couple more here further down on the timeline on the second ollie. Here we go. Start off with a simple cruise, little arm sway, little movement, ollie, 360 flip, and 360 body spin. Back to cruising low, getting ready to ollie, ollie, and flip, and loop. So that's the basics of the mechanics. Alright, for the last part of the video, the skate park, I'll try to make him do a thing or two, and that'll wrap us up. Alright, let's do this. Grab him by the joystick. That almost doesn't sound right. I'm going to try to put him right in the center here, because all I'm going to really be doing is rotating This might even be too small, dudes. Emergency expansion activated. Okay, board still. Skater cruise. I actually don't even know if we'll have a chance to use the cruise because this is so small. But boom, he's now snapped into place. Now I grab the joystick and I'm gonna see if I can. He actually lines up pretty good. So this might actually only require me to go back and forth on the rotation axes, make him ollie right about there. Okay, this should be seemingly kind of easy. I'm going to create an empty block, 5 seconds long, and try to actually build it out in here. So click, double click, I get into all my keyframes, and now I'm going to go and do the same thing, same process really as I did over here. I'm just going to have to do it within these keyframes. Okay, finally, this seems to have worked pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to take the skateboard, add a subtrack, take Genesis 8 male, add a subtrack. He's going to do an ollie right about there, and then right about there. Okay, and if you see this happen, where he locks up and he's above the board, you can try to change the loop's starting points and reorient it, or you can double click on the subtrack and override everything with this layer. That should snap him back. There we go. Although the whole thing's moving a bit too fast, we kind of got it. It's going back and forth. Everything's mathematically correct as far as when to turn, 90 degrees at a time. Okay, so now I'm going to create another empty ANI block. Make it 5 seconds. And this one should be easy because I'm just going to be taking the Z axis and having him go down as he's doing his left and right and tricks. Okay, so it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does work, and conceptually that was the most important thing for me, to see if no matter what challenge I put myself up to with these tools, I seem to be able to work with it. So having said that, I really can't wait to see what you, other DAZ, pros, and beginners end up doing with these ANI blocks. And once you are done something cool, please don't be shy, drop a link to your videos. I want to learn from you guys too. By the way, question for the audience, any DAZ pros out there, I can't seem to get my interpolation to translate from timeline to Animate2. I just want linear, but no matter what I do, and even if I go in here, I can grab nodes, but I can't do nothing with them, and I can't seem to get interpolation set in here. So, your turn to teach me. How do I do this? Can I do this? Okay, so a quick recap. You guys are getting the skateboard, the SkatePark number 1, the SkatePark number 2, all the ANI blocks, the DAZ template files and blank files to start with, and this video is part of a series where I'm giving out over 200 ANI blocks. The other videos cover walking, talking, jumping, running, and more. So don't miss out, go grab those freebies too. Have yourselves a great day, and render forever. Peace.